You just got questioned. Maybe it was your decision. Maybe it was your absence. Maybe it was your silence. And before you even realized what was happening, you were already mid-sentence, explaining yourself to someone who didn't deserve an answer. You justified. You softened. You gave them the full backstory with footnotes. And the worst part? They still didn't believe you. Or worse, they used your own words against you. Here's what no one teaches you. The moment you start explaining, you've already positioned yourself as the defendant. You've handed them the gavel. Let me show you something. Think about the most powerful person you know. Not the loudest, not the most aggressive, the one who carries weight in every room. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you heard them scramble to justify themselves? You haven't, because they understand something that took me years to learn. Explanations are not information. They are requests for approval, and approval seeking is the fastest way to drain your authority in any interaction. There's a psychological phenomenon called the explanation trap. When someone questions you, whether it's your choices, your time, or your boundaries, your brain interprets it as a social threat. Your nervous system fires up, and your instinct screams, defend yourself, make them understand. But here's the architecture of that trap. The more you explain, the more you signal that their question was valid. The more you justify, the more you invite follow-up interrogation. You're not resolving the tension. You're feeding it. I call this the law of diminishing justification. Every additional sentence you speak after a simple answer reduces your credibility by half. Watch this in action. Someone asks, "Why didn't you come to the party?" Response A, "I didn't feel like it." Response B, "Well, I was really tired, and I had a long week, and honestly, I wasn't sure if I was even invited properly, and I didn't want to make it awkward, and I thought maybe I'd catch up with everyone later." And which person sounds in control of their life? Which person sounds like they're asking for permission to exist? Now, let me give you the first tool. I call it the period response. When questioned, answer once. Then stop. Don't trail off. Don't add qualifiers. Don't soften. End with a period, not a comma. "I'm not available." Period. "That doesn't work for me." Period. "I'd rather not." Period. "No, because." "No, it's just that." "No, I hope you understand." The period is your full stop. Your silence after it is your signature. Here's why this works on a psychological level. When you don't explain, the other person is forced to fill the silence with their own interpretation. And 9 times out of 10, they'll assume you have a better reason than anything you could have said. Silence is not empty. Silence is a screen. People project competence onto those who don't over-explain. They project depth. They project boundaries. But let's address the real fear. You're worried that if you don't explain, people will think you're rude, cold, dismissive. Here's the truth. The people who require constant explanations from you are not respecting you. They're auditing you, and audits never end. You pass one, and they schedule another. You justify your absence, and next week they want justification for your silence. You explain your choice, and suddenly every choice is up for committee review. The second tool is called the broken record. This is for the persistent ones, the ones who won't accept your period response. Here's how it works. You give your answer. They push back. You repeat the same answer, word for word, with zero escalation. "Why won't you lend me the money?" "That's not something I can do." "But I really need it. You know I'm good for it." "That's not something I can do." "Are you serious right now?" "That's not something I can do." No new arguments, no justifications, no emotion. You become uninteresting to argue with, and eventually they stop. Now here's where most people fail. They deliver the right words, but betray themselves with their body. They say no while their eyes dart around looking for approval. They set a boundary while their shoulders cave inward. Non-defensive silence isn't just verbal. It's postural. When you speak your answer, plant your feet. Relax your jaw, let your hands rest. This is what I call grounded stillness. Your body must agree with your words, or your words mean nothing. Tool number 3, the strategic pause. Before you respond to any challenging question, count to 3 internally. 1, 2, 3. Then speak. This does 2 things. First, it breaks the pattern. Most people expect immediate reaction. Your pause signals that you are choosing your response, not being controlled by theirs. Second, it gives you space to decide if this even deserves an answer at all. Not every question is asked in good faith. Some questions are ambushes disguised as curiosity. The pause lets you see the trap before you walk into it. Let me tell you about a study from the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology. Researchers found that people who gave shorter explanations for their actions were perceived as more confident, more competent, and more trustworthy. Meanwhile, those who over-explained were rated lower on all three dimensions. Read that again. The more you explain, the less they trust you. It's counterintuitive, but humans are wired to associate brevity with conviction. Now, let's talk about the inner game, because here's the part no one wants to admit. The reason you over-explain isn't about them. It's about you. It's the child inside you who was told their feelings weren't valid. It's the teenager who was punished for having boundaries. It's the adult who still believes that saying no without a dissertation is somehow selfish. But here's the reframe. Your time is not on trial. Your energy is not up for debate. Your presence is not evidence that requires corroboration. You are not obligated to make your life legible to people who haven't earned that access. And that's the key word, earned. Explanations are intimate. They reveal your reasoning, your vulnerabilities, your inner world. That kind of access should be granted, not demanded. When you explain yourself to someone who hasn't earned it, you're not being polite. You're devaluing your own depth. Let's do a quick scenario. Your coworker passive-aggressively asks why you didn't respond to their email over the weekend. Old you says, "Oh, sorry, I was really busy with family stuff, and I didn't see it until late. And I wasn't sure if it was urgent, and I..." New you says, "I check emails during work hours." Then silence. Watch their face. They'll fumble. They might even apologize, because they weren't expecting you to hold your ground without wobbling. Here's another one. A relative at a gathering asks why you're still single. Old you launches into a defensive explanation about focusing on your career, timing, past experiences, and how you're just not rushing things. New you smiles slightly and says, "I'm happy with how things are." Then you take a sip of your drink. That's it. You've answered without revealing. You've closed the door without slamming it. Though I want you to notice something. In both examples, you're not being aggressive. You're not being cold. You're being complete. Non-defensive silence isn't about shutting people out. It's about no longer apologizing for who you are. Now here's your challenge. This week, I want you to catch yourself the next time you start over-explaining. Notice the urge, feel the pull to justify, and then stop, mid-sentence if you have to. Replace the rest with silence. It will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will scream at you to finish the thought. Don't. Sit in the silence. Let it do its work. Here's a question I want you to think about. What would change in your life if you stopped asking permission to be yourself? Drop your answer in the comments. I read them. Most people will live their entire lives explaining themselves to people who never asked because they cared. They asked because they wanted leverage. Don't be most people. Your piece is not a puzzle others are entitled to solve. Your boundaries are not debates. Your silence is not empty. It's the loudest thing in the room when you know how to use it. Build your life silently. If this spoke to something in you, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to others who need it. Subscribe if you want more strategies like this. And leave a comment. I want to know, what's one situation where you wish you had stayed silent instead of explaining? I'll see you in the next one.